Good morning students and welcome to our YouTube channel Gnan Engineering Modern School. In the previous videos we are just going through the chapter number 10, that is force and friction. Okay, in that we have just seen up to the force and its effect. Then after we have seen the non-contact force, gravitational force, electrostatic force and all the things, contact forces, magnetic forces, applied force, and this all the things we have seen in the previous videos. Now we will start with a new topic. The topic is sliding and rolling friction. Topic is sliding and rolling friction. Sliding and rolling friction. So here, what is first of all sliding friction? So here the definition is given: the friction force that comes into effect when we slide an object on a surface is called sliding friction. And then after, and here rolling friction. So what is rolling friction? The friction force that comes into the effect when we roll an object is called rolling friction. Okay, it's called the rolling friction. So first is the sliding friction and second one is the rolling friction. So first of all, what is sliding friction? If I just say that, then as I just write with the marker, so this is a sliding friction. Okay, and what is rolling friction? If I just take this marker and just I roll it, okay, just I roll it, then it is a rolling friction. Okay, so as I roll, you can see it is moving, so that is rolling friction. And what is sliding friction? As I just write on the marker, that is sliding friction. So the friction force that comes in effect when we slide an object on the surface is called sliding friction. Here we have seen the sliders. So in Gujarati, if I say the lasarbattis, that is the sliding frictions. And then after rolling frictions, that we just roll on, that is the rolling friction, which if I just there is a slope or a plane surface, and if I just put a water bottle over this, then it will roll. So that is the rolling friction. So what is it? The friction force that comes into effect when we roll an object is called the rolling friction. Okay, see here, both the examples are given. Let us see one by one, and there is an activity also given. In that activity, that is, in the activity you can see the two bottles. One is horizontal and one is vertical. So that both the bottle, one is of rolling friction and another is of the sliding friction. Let us see that. To understand that sliding friction is greater than rolling friction, materials needed: a smooth cylindrical water bottle filled with water, a pencil and a flat table top. Okay. Note, close the tap of the water bottle tightly and make sure the water does not leak, even if the bottle is horizontal. So here, one of the bottle is to be put in the vertical and one of the put is into the horizontal. So the vertical, which is, it is of the sliding force, and the horizontal, which is that is of the rolling force. So here, place the water bottle upright on the tabletop. Push it gently at the bottle with the pencil till it slides. Then after, next place the water bottle horizontally and tabletop. Push it gently with the pencil. You will find that water bottle rolls with very little effort. Discussion. We have observed that a greater force is required to slide the water bottle and the top table than roll it. Conclusion. Sliding friction is greater than the rolling friction for the same object and the same set of the surface in contact. Okay, here rolling instead of sliding, here it is. Now that we know that the rolling friction is lesser than the sliding friction, if we want to move a heavy object, it would be easier idea to roll it rather than slide it. Then if we had object in the shape of cylinder, all we have to do is put it on its side and roll it. What would you do if you had a very heavy box and you need to move it? Would you prefer to roll it or slide it? Then here is an activity to demonstrate the basic principle of ball bearings. A very heavy book, a flat top table, a pencil and a 10 round glass marbles method. Place the book on the tabletop and push it gently with the pencil. Next, place the 10 round marbles on the tabletop and place the book on the marble. Now push the book with the pencil. Observation. You will find that it is much easier to push the book when it is placed on the marble. Conclusion. In a situation when one surface requires to move with respect to the another, it becomes easier if we instead insert something that rolls between the two surface. Here, if this is a book and it cannot be rolled. Why? Because it is not in the cylindrical shape. So what we do, we put a marbles over here and we just give some of the force to it, then it will move easily rather than the sliding force. So over here, a cart is easier to pull on the ground if it has wheels. Big suitcases are fitted with wheels. The invention of the wheels has completely revolutionized the way we travel. All this is based on something very simple, that is, rolling friction is lesser than the sliding friction. The fact that rolling friction is lesser than sliding friction is used in making extremely useful device called ball bearings. Here, we know that rolling friction, we have seen the many heavy objects. Means if I say talk about the trucks, cars, scooter, which just run on the wheels, which they are heavy. If I say the wheels were not in the cylindrical shape or the circle shape, okay, then the wheels can move. If I just make a wheel like this, then what will happen? This is a cylindrical shaped wheel and this is a triangle shaped wheel. So it can move easily. And how it will move? First of all, it will move gap by gap. It will not move easily. Its friction will be high, but its friction will be low. So it can be easily moved. Or if I say I just put a wheel like this, then it will move. No, car will not move. the circle shaped wheels will only there, then only we can move easily the heavy object like car, trucks, buses, all the things. Okay students, and moving further, that is advantages of friction. So there are some advantages of the friction. Let us see that. Friction is absolutely necessary for us to live a normal life. Imagine how it would be walk on a very high polished floor. You would find it very difficult to walk, wouldn't you? Here they are saying that polished polished tiles are there. Then how can we walk on that? So we can't walk easily. We have to we should care ourselves so we just don't fall down. So there are some of these safe grip shoes also came, in which if there is polished surface, then the shoes gives us grip to just walk on it and we will not fall down. Okay, then after, imagine how it would be to walk on a very highly polished floor. You would find very difficult to walk, wouldn't you? We walk forward, we push the ground back with our foot. It is the friction between our shoes and the ground that keeps from slipping. Friction is a very important part of our lives. We need friction for every action of our life, walking, pushing, pulling and lifting things. We need friction to grip and hold things. Screw and knots need friction to remain in place. When we start looking around us, we will realize that the friction is indeed a greater advantage of us. Here, if I am just talking about the friction on this, I will like to give an example of it. What example? If in the rolling friction, if the rolling friction was not there, then in the car, if we just apply the brake, then the car will not stop. It will moving, and at last accident will happen. Okay, so the friction should be there. Without friction, we cannot move the car, and also we cannot just brake the car. Okay, so we have seen some of the trucks or some of the cars just they are gone to the clay surface. Then you can see the tire just slip. And why? Because they slip, because in the clay there is not more friction. So what we have to do, we have to just pull it and just take it out the car or the trucks or the anything else which is just there over it. Okay, then after moving further, increasing friction, automobile tires and shoes have to have a good grip on the ground to avoid slipping. If the tires and the sole of the shoes are smooth, they will not be able to get a good enough grip. The tires are therefore given treads to give them a better grip on the road. Shoes are also given studs and other patterns of the soles for better grip. You would have observed that when pulling a heavy load with a rod, people put sand on their hands. This is done to increase the friction to get grip of the rope. Look around you and you will see several such examples. Here we have also seen to pull the rope. To pull the rope, they just first of all their hands just take the sand, and then after they just take out the sand and walk for what? To make a better grip than their surface. Okay, then after they can rope easily. Then after, there are some of the disadvantages of the friction. So what are that? Let us see. So disadvantages of the friction. Here there are few disadvantages of the friction, that are wear and tear in moving parts of automobile and machinery is a big disadvantage, because it results in reduced life of the parts and they have to place frequently. Friction also causes heating. This is why rubbing our hands on a cold days make them warmer. You may have even observed that the rubber edge of the eraser gets warmer after being rubbed vigorously on paper about 30 times. Friction causes moving parts to heat up, resulting in a waste of energy and the fuel. So, what does the friction do? Friction just heat up. If you are just going on the car and when you just start it, and after some kilometers when you just run your car, you just touch the tires, it will somewhat heated. Why it is heated? Because the friction, due to the friction they are heated. Okay, then after, if I just talk about the engines, the engines are heated up when they are moving. Why? Because of the friction they are moving. So what we put in the engines, we just put the coolants inside it so that the engine doesn't heat up more. It just heat up to one limit only, then it will not heat up more. So if it will heat up more engine, then engine will be destroyed and we can't use that engine further. We have to make that engine another time. So there are some of the disadvantages. So we have also heard that we have to just regular check up our cars, scooters and all the things. Why? Because if it is heating up very fastly, then we have to put a coolant inside it so that the engine does not heat up and the parts which are there, they do not damage inside it. Okay, moving further, there is an activity given, that is to show that greater friction causes increased wear and tear. Materials need a sheet of the paper from your notebook, sandpaper and a new eraser. Select one edge of the eraser and rub it on the sheet of the paper about 30 times. Next, select another edge of the eraser and rub it on the sandpaper about 30 times. Compare two edges. You will find that the edge that was rubbed using sandpaper looks more worn out than the edge that was used to rub on the sheet of the paper of your notebook. Conclusion: this shows us that friction causes wear and tear, which is disadvantages in most cases. It also shows us that greater friction causes a greater degree of wear and tear. Okay, here, if you just rub the eraser on your notebook page, then you have to touch that and you have to see that how much part is gone, and then after you just rub that another edge of the eraser on the sandpaper, then you can see it is more heated up and the more warmed out. Okay, so this was the activity, and moving further, that is reducing friction. So how the friction can be reduced? For that, you can see reducing friction, reduce wear and tear, and also bring down the amount of the heat produced due to the friction between moving parts of the machinery. Friction can be reduced by a process called lubrication. So how can friction be reduced? So friction can be reduced. Friction can be reduced by a process called lubrication, in which substance like oil and grease are applied between moving surface they are applied between the moving surface. So for the reduction of the friction, the lubricants are used, and that process is known as lubrication. So for in which the substance like oil and grease are applied between the moving surfaces, so that it will be not more friction in it. Okay, we have seen in the cars and in the bikes, in the trucks, the greasing and oiling are applied. Why? Because they can reduce the friction. Okay, students. Now, moving further, that is ball bearings, usually made of hard metal balls, are used to reduce friction. Ball bearings. So what is this? Ball bearings are used in machines and other mechanical structures that have moving parts. Smooth metal balls are placed between moving surface to reduce friction. Figure 10.4 shows the picture of a simple ball bearing. Here you can see a ball bearing picture is given, and in the Navratri you have seen in Dandiya, in one there is a hole like structure, and when we just move, then it will move many of the times. In that there the ball bearing is used so that it can be moved easily and reduce the friction. Okay, students, here we just keep up to the here, and in your homework what you just do is homework, write the definitions. Write the definitions means about the sliding friction, rolling friction, then after this friction how it can be reduced, and this all the things today that we have seen, that all the things, and find out the answers of exercise, because only a last topic is remaining that we will do, and then after I will just write the answers of that. Find out answers of exercise objectives. Okay, students, and we will meet in the next video. Bye, students.